Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the BedTech Show. We're your hosts, Ben and Ethan. We've got an exciting topic for you this evening. It's been a while, so we're back, and we're
We're
back in
back,
business.
baby. We're back.
And with that, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to get into all the deep, dark secrets of Apple and what they've been doing with their AI model, which is Apple Intelligence. It's not really AI, it's just Apple Intelligence. But that's another story for another day, I guess. But anyway, rumor is, and what the alleged reports are, is that Apple has been using, along with some other companies like
Yeah.
Salesforce and Anthropic, have been using um, YouTube and creative content to train their AI models without the consent of creators, which is a violation of YouTube's terms, violation of a lot of intellectual property rights in general. But companies have been using like a lot of these files to really create what they're and train their AI models to get it. And it looks like the claim is that they have scraped about 173,000 YouTube videos across 48,000 different channels. Channels from like Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, and Marquez Brownlee. Marquez Brownlee did even call out Apple on this usage and what their sources have been. And there have been some interesting allegations, especially with like Apple doing this and other companies. And I wanted to get your take on this. What do you think of companies, I guess, for lack of a better word, stealing content to train their AI models? Do you think this is good, or do you think this is something that's really unethical? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
that's a good question. Um, I'm not obviously if it goes against terms of service, then obviously there needs to be some kind of action done to correct the situation or stop the situation from happening in the future. But in my own personal ideals, I don't really have like a big problem with it, mainly because I feel like the data that they're pulling is most likely data pulled from API, open APIs that like Google has for YouTube. Granted, if it's against their terms of service, then I think it's fair, like to be upset about. But I think YouTubers do this a lot with their own content, where they pull content from others and then they recycle it with their own aspect or flip to it and then publish it and then they profit off it. So like for example, reaction videos or compilation videos
Mhm.
or uh you know whatever it might be. Like you do reaction compilation of other videos. Like people profit off that all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, if Apple is taking other people's content and pulling it in and then using it just to build additional content in a product that they can profit off of, I have a hard time finding the line between those two. I think there's a hazy overlap. And when I say hazy, I mean like gray area.
Mhm.
It's not a clear, distinct line. And I do think there is overlap there of similar situations. And so it's hard for me to be truly upset by it. Um, I could understand if it's like a creator and um I think there are some creators out there who produce their true own original content. And so I can understand if they're upset. Like if their content and their subtitles and their transcripts are being pulled and used in a model without their consent, I can see them being upset. But it's hard for me to really be on the side of creators who are recycling content when it's not truly original, when they're essentially from a from a from a like how would I say this? I think from a um like point of discussion standpoint, I don't know if that even makes sense, but from like I want to say policy, but I know that's not the right word. I guess conceptually, they're doing the same thing as what Apple's doing. They're pulling other content, they're using their own spin on it, they're publishing it for profit. And conceptually, I feel like that's similar to what Apple's doing with their large language model. They're pulling other people's content, they're absorbing it, they're utilizing it for their own spin on publication of product and content, and then they're publishing it out. They're publishing their content for profit. Now, the profit's a little bit more direct, and large language models are a little bit more clear cut in gathering data, remembering data, storing data, and then pulling, like leveraging data than maybe the human mind. But at the same time, I think, again, conceptually, it's similar. Um, that's me. That's my personal opinion.
You know,
But
I think that's a pretty interesting opinion. So if I understand what you're saying,
yeah,
basically you're saying there's nothing new under the sun.
yeah, yeah, kind of.
And a,
It's it,
a lot of this is just derivative works of other people, and even creators are just taking maybe a derivative, or in some things even just the same things, and repurposing it for their own
yeah,
use.
yeah. Like for example, like um, if we even take Marcus Brownlee, like a lot of his stuff is like technically like original content, and I really like his content. It's not a knock to him, but like he's profiting off of like Apple's products in a lot of his videos. Like he's taking his Apple's product, he's ingesting what their product is, and he's producing his own content, but it's based and founded on what he's learned and obtained from Apple's product. And he's producing content about Apple's product, like the iPhone.
Mhm.
And he's putting his own spin on it, and he's putting his own added context, added insight, added information to it. But I think large language models do that as well. They ingest data and then they mix it all together, and then they add upon it and they learn from it, and then it produces its own information. Obviously, a lot more, I'll say linear. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's a lot more clear cut, and because it's machine versus human, right? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Um, I don't think there's too much of a differentiation between what creators do and what large language models do. Learn, develop, and produce.
Mhm.
But I could be wrong, you know.
No,
I'm
I think that's a really good take. I'm a little bit on the other side of this.
okay. I love that. I actually love that because then we have like really good perspectives here. I love to hear your take.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what I have, the rub that I have with this is that
Mhm.
you know these content creators, they're creating their content. It may be derivative, whatever, but it's technically their content that they're producing, that they have the intellectual property rights to. And with those intellectual property rights, somebody coming in and taking that, um, potentially like verbatim, and just being able to produce something else that's exactly like that, can be problematic, because that's
True.
it's a form of copyright infringement, um, and trademark infringement. Well, a lot of things within the intellectual property realm. And, you know, Apple being able, and all these other companies being able to benefit from that without, these content creators getting, um, some sort of consideration or reciprocation of that compensation for their work, that's just benefiting the other companies. Um, like something that, in my role working for a healthcare organization, I have to really think about, because we have a lot of patient data that is
Mm,
companies are using, and they're wanting to use that to train their, learn language models
mm,
in their software applications. And the point where it becomes problematic is like, okay, they're taking patient information, learning something, and then distributing that information out to other people, other clients. And so it becomes like that patient's privacy right has been violated because now that information is widespread for somebody else. So I think with this, it kind of by doing this, it kind of blurs the line and takes away privacy rights. It takes away somebody's intellectual property rights from
Hmm.
doing this. When I know this is probably the easiest way, but they could probably come up with another way that to train these learned language models rather than doing that. I don't know how they would do that. I don't have a good solution, but it it potentially does infringe upon some of those rights. And I do like your point where you said, essentially all these content creators, they're repurposing or creating a derivative work of that thing. So, these companies essentially taking another derivative work, what's the harm? It's really just a derivative of a derivative. And,
Yeah.
um, but even with that, there's still some rights that the other person has with that. And I think this is kind of impacting that and can potentially harm those content creators with their work.
Yeah. No, I think you bring up a good point around ownership and copyright infringement and stuff like that. Because I think that's a valid take. Large language models or LLMs, they can come in and, like you said, reproduce verbatim what they ingest, right? I don't know how often that happens, but it can happen. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast before where um individuals will use ChatGPT to uh get their company code for their software product like reviewed. And then later down the line, like ChatGPT will give someone else suggestions of how to code by using this other person's company intellectual coding property. And it's like that is infringement there.
Mm.
And so we have seen it before where these chatbots will reproduce uh, private property like that's provided to them. And so I think that's a very fair take. My only thought is similar to reaction videos. You're taking almost verbatim the same video, but then you're just applying a layer of your own aspect to it, originality to it,
Mhm.
and therefore that's considered like fair use, right?
Right.
Um, and obviously, I don't know the models behind Apple Intelligence, but maybe there's a way for them to say, hey, in all of your uh, answers or suggestions or uh, any type of product that you pump out to the consumer, just make sure it's like a mixture of what you've learned, what you have created on your own, and then come up with your own aspect of the answer that's not verbatim from someone else. Because I feel like then, if that, how do you enforce that? I don't know. But if that actually was to happen, then I think it would be considered fair use because then it would be very similar to other creators where they take something, they add their own spin to it, and then they produce it out. Um, that's so hard to track, follow, determine. I don't know. I don't know how we would do that. I don't know how we would ensure that happens. Especially when it's something like ChatGPT, where you have millions of users prompting every day, answers are getting pumped out every day. You know, how do you track it? I don't know. Um, let me ask the next question then.
Okay.
Um, let me ask the next question about this. If, for example, Apple were to say, yeah, we screwed up. We broke terms of service for YouTube, and this is infringement on uh, intellectual property or copyright, whatever it might be. We're going to try and compensate appropriately. How do you resolve this? How do you compensate for it? Class action lawsuit from those 170,000 YouTubers or whatever it might be, and what they get like $10 each.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you would how you would even begin to compensate fairly because there's so much data that has gone into this,
Yeah.
that has then further been manipulated and then shared widespread with somebody else who has then further manipulated that and put it back in.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a way that you could compensate this outside of a class action lawsuit where somebody would get 10 cents on the dollar
Yeah.
or for their work.
Yeah.
Um, and I bet like all of these companies have probably built in the fair use doctrine of copyright law into their code. And so they could argue that, hey, everything that we're pulling with, it falls within that line of fair use anyway. And so nobody can claim ownership to this product.
Yeah. I honestly think that's probably Apple's best defense. Do you think that there'll be pursuit of legal action?
I think there is. I think there will be. I mean, this article came out back in July, so it's a little bit um older article. I mean, people
Yeah.
are still going that, but I think the heat of it is still present. A lot of content creators still have that there. Um, I know they'd have standing. They'd have standing to pull something like this, to create a
Hmm.
lawsuit for a class
Interesting.
action, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a case they would be or whether the law would be on their side for this, especially where the law is in its infancy when it comes to um, learned language models and whether attorneys and judges have the ability for abstract thought to be able to comb through the nuances and create a law for this remains to be seen. I haven't seen
Yeah.
much. What are your thoughts?
I I don't think there's enough here for someone to really feel like they're gonna win if they go after Apple or any other of the AI companies that are doing this. Um, just because I don't think there's been enough legal precedent to go off of. This is all new territory, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's new territory, I think it'd be very difficult to prove that there is a clear violation and substantial evidence. Now, I could be wrong in what's required in order to pursue, and maybe they just go after Apple, hoping that Apple would settle. But Apple does have deep pockets, and I wouldn't be surprised if they say no, let's go to court. Like we don't think you have a leg to stand on. You know, we'll take you to court and we'll win. Um, so I personally just don't think there will be a lot from it. I think there's obviously call outs and maybe some bad PR for Apple and other AI companies, but I don't think there's enough to have a solid case. And I don't think people want to risk spending the money uh, of going to a legal battle with Apple and then time and money is wasted and losing. So I can see this being like another issue that's discussed over podcasts and YouTube and news articles, but nothing really happening from it.
Yeah.
Um, which is sad because I think there does need to be some laws put in place, like you were saying. Like there does need to be some established jurisdiction or legalities around AI and data collection and what can be used for LLMs, etc. This is all, like I said, new area and gray area, and it's unknown. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of like the dot-com boom, you know?
Yeah.
It's all new. So it is a pretty wild time to live in and to see all this happening. That's my thought, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens, obviously. But
Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting to see what happens, whether this affects how much growth we're going to see in the AI world,
yeah,
whether this like makes it plateau or if it continues to be on the rise like it has been.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Laws could slow down progression very quickly.
Mhm.
Yeah, good
So,
point.
but the good news is we're going to be on the precipice of that, and we will be sharing that with everyone here
Yeah.
as we find out.
Question for you, just to kind of carry on the conversation about Apple Intelligence. Um, have you used it yet?
Oh, complete garbage. I think
Really?
I think it is complete garbage.
That's unfortunate. That's like really a bummer to hear. After all the hype. I guess I
Uh,
shouldn't be too surprised being Apple, you know?
yeah,
Um,
like,
tell me more though.
I can't remember what I was asking, but I was asking it to do something relatively simple.
Uh-huh.
And it just said, I can't do that. I'm like, well, what good are you? Uh,
That's funny. My favorite is like when I ask, I don't think I have Apple Intelligence. I just upgraded my iOS to 18.1.
ah,
And so I think I don't
the
know
new
if
18.2 update came out, I think today.
oh
So
really?
yeah,
Maybe that's what I upgraded to. Let me check here. Um, but anyway, I it kind of reminds me of like when sometimes I would ask Siri questions and like Siri is just not reasonable, at least up until maybe this new aspect. It doesn't sound like even from you, it's very good. But it would just be like, here's what I found on the web. I'm like, if I wanted a Google search, I do a Google search. I don't
yeah,
freaking want you to just like look it up on the web. I want you to tell me the answer. That's what I'm asking you for. Gosh, like I might as well just go into Safari and just like do the voice record of the talk to text and
yep.
Google if that's what you're gonna give me, you know? It's just infuriating. So let's see. I'm looking at my software right now. Software update. Oh yeah, I'm 18.1.1.
Oh yeah, you gotta upgrade.
Got to upgrade,
And
dude.
you will be sorely disappointed with the lack of functionality. Uh,
Oh, I can't wait to upgrade to be disappointed.
yes. I mean, you want to get that disappointment out of the way quickly. So, no, with it hasn't changed my life. And I feel
Yeah.
like Apple, with their marketing and how they were presenting everything with their keynote for this year for the iPhones, it was about this is going to change your life, essentially. That it's
Yeah.
going to revolutionize how you interact with your phone. And I don't think it does. I, the summaries of emails are terrible.
Really.
And I I don't know why I expected it to be better because Copilot, I would say Copilot summaries of emails are terrible too.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that in a previous episode. Yeah.
And so, yeah, summaries of emails are terrible. Summaries of notifications are, it makes me more confused than if I were just to actually look at all the notifications in one
Yeah.
swipe.
Yeah.
And, you know, I purely expect artificial intelligence to do the mundane things of my life so that I don't have to, but
Yeah.
I can't do those yet.
Yeah. I understand that a little bit. When I um in the past couple months, I went through like a little surgery operation and I was doing a lot of Googling about it. And oftentimes the AI summary that Gemini was spitting out would act very confident in the answer and it would take multiple links and then combine an answer, but then it would mix up information. And probably 50% of my Google searches had incorrect summarization answers or summary answers. And it would piss me off too, because I look at it and be like, oh, okay, sounds good. Wait a sec. That doesn't make any sense. And I go into the links and I'm like, this doesn't say that at all. This says the
Yeah,
opposite. This is completely wrong. This is not helpful at all. And it's like important information because I'm going through a medical surgery and I need
right.
to know this information. And the fact that it's giving me incorrect medical information about the surgery is just, in my mind, a pretty big red flag.
Yeah.
And it was very frustrating for me to go through that. It became to the point where I was like, I just can't rely on the AI overview. It just isn't reliable.
Yeah.
And that's sad. You know, it's sad when they're publishing a product that they're like, use the AI overview. It's really cool. It'll simplify your life and make things faster and summarize answers for you. And if you're giving me the wrong information, then I can't rely on that.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was a like I was working on a um education summary um project that I was working on, and I was like, okay, I think this would be perfect for AI to help, like fill in some content. And I think like me and trying to manipulate prompts to get what I needed, it would have just been easier for me to go do a regular Google search and find the information out on my own
Yeah.
and put it in. And I was like, I probably spent more time trying to get the AI to work than it would have been just getting the actual stuff.
Yeah. That's so frustrating to me. Um, it really is an annoyance. And maybe that's just like the growing pains over the next, decade or so until we have really fine-tuned AI. But right now it's like I don't even want to try to use it if it's not
Yeah.
going to give me the right information. So
Yep. I feel the same way.
yeah. One day we'll have our phones be like our personal assistants where we just tell it everything and it just does it for us, you know?
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Yeah, that's the goal, but definitely not there right now.
No, I think Google ads are pretty much there because all of a sudden, like, you can just be thinking about something and then something
Dude,
comes up, like, in your,
yeah,
like, suggest, oh, you should buy this on Amazon. Like, I didn't even type that anywhere.
yep.
Pretty
Oh,
sure
for
I,
sure listens. For
yeah.
sure listens.
And there's even times like, I'm pretty sure I didn't say that out loud. So,
Yeah, that's the scary thing. When you're like,
yeah,
I was literally just thinking about this. What the heck? You know?
yeah,
I was talking to Nisia about something. I'm trying to remember what it was. And then it popped up on like the advertisements on my feed for social media. I think it was like it was a Meta software or Meta social media. I don't know if it was Facebook, Instagram, or Threads or something, but it popped up and I'm in my head I thought I didn't look this up at all on my phone ever. And here it is. So it's weird.
yeah,
Crazy stuff.
yeah. Google can do that with their ads, yet they can't get Gemini to work.
Yeah,
Hmm.
can't get Gemini. Come on.
It seems like it would be an easy solution. But
Yeah, if you could do that first aspect
yeah,
of catering ads so incredibly well, why not give me just summarized answers of articles that
yeah.
are correct?
So I mean, it seems like anybody can create a learned language model these days. There's just so many all of a sudden,
Yeah, true.
and I don't know why Google can't do it.
Yeah, they struggle. They are struggling for sure. So,
Because I really hate it. Like when I put in a Google search, it'll give me like the AI summary of my search. I'm like, it's completely wrong. I just give me the search results and I'll find it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. So, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think I am excited for AI. I'm really excited for it, but I think just right now it's just we're in the growing pains because we're in the very beginning of it and trying to figure everything out. But in maybe 5 years, it's gonna be pretty epic, I think.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Hopefully it's epic.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe by then we'll have the robo taxi and the uh, what is that? The roads,
Robovan.
the Robovan.
The Robovan. The Robovan. Yeah. Probably not,
Probably not.
given the track record of Tesla, but we'll see.
So hopefully at least we get the Roadster by then. But
Oh yeah, dude. Seriously.
we're going on we're going on 10 years. So
Wild. But interesting stuff, fun stuff. It's fun to talk about.
yeah. What is also fun is making sure you hit that thumbs up button. That really does help out our channel. Make sure you um, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, that other button seems to work all right as well. Make sure you send this video to somebody you dislike. I'm sure they could use it in their life. As always, ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button so you never miss any content as it's posted on the channel. Until next time, stay classy and have a great evening.
Peace.